Hello, guys. Welcome to round two of the quarterfinals. The Indian women team as well as the men team won the first round, so both of the teams need just a draw to progress to the semifinals. And here we have Adiman on the first board against Ganzurek, who beat Nihal Sarin in the previous round. Okay, Bishop takes the knight on c3 and Queen takes on c3. Maybe the black queen can take and b into c3 it is. Yeah. So let's move to the second board. We have Nihal Sarin playing Bilgin Sumaya. Okay. The check by black's dark squared bishop forced the king to move to the f file and prevented his castle. So yeah, early stages of the game. Let's see Surya Ganguly's game now. Both of them have castled on the short side. Surya Ganguly has given one of his pawns just for development, and let's see whether he come back in the game. So this is like everyone has moved on board except Krishnan Sasikaran to make way for Baskan Adiman. Here at K64 Chess, we are going to show you all the games that are being played out. This is the fourth board of the Indian team, Krishnan Sasikaran, who won against Ganardine Sugar in the first round. White castles on the long side, and now there are some threats on the king side of white. This bishop would open up the diagonal later on in the game. Sorry, in the previous round, I told you the score was 3-1 in favor of the Indian women team, whereas it was 4-0, and the Indian men team won 2.5 to 1.5 against Mongolia in round one. Let's have a look at Vaishali's game here, who's the top vote for the Indian team and has been in rollicking form from game one of the Asian Nation Cup. So, standard openings being played out here, and it's opponent Alexandra's move. Let's show you the second board of the women's team. Bhakti Kulkarni. They have castled on opposite sides so that each of them can attack the king side. And Kyrgyzstan is desperate for a win in order to remain floating in the match and have a chance of a tiebreak. Padmini Raut also in a good position here. Just see the pawn structure here. This is good for Padmini Raut. There are some ideas of the queen coming to the c8 square and attacking this weak pawn. If you try h3 or f3, it is just creating a weakness around the king. I told you f3. This is just weakening the king side. Nandita, grandmaster playing on fourth board. See, this diagonal is blocked for the bishop, and white's piece is a better developed in comparison to black. Black hasn't castled, rook is sitting on the a file, and here the h rook can come to the f file, and she's better developed in comparison to Nurai. Adiban playing an open game here against Ganzarek. He has maneuvered his king into a corner on the a1 square. Black has to develop the bishop here. Cannot be sitting idle so that the two rooks link up and start. Nehal Sarin, who lost the previous game, he's an he's in an okayish position here. Not much talk about. Surya Ganguly, the captain, not in a good position. As you can see, he's one pawn down. The A pawn is isolated. The D pawn is isolated. And black's pieces are just going to develop and make life difficult for him. He has to move the queen because in the next move, I'm sorry for this. This bishop is coming. So, yeah, black clearly in the advantage here. Krishnan Sasani Kiran has played a very solid tournament, I must say. He has been the standout for the Indian men team in the Asian Nation Cup. Everyone has had a up and down tournament in the men's team. Yeah. In the middle game, White has to develop the dark squared bishop here. Cannot be sitting idle. Why not take his pawn? Let's see the last move played here. Yeah. So now she's defending this pawn. You have to put pressure, maybe exchange the rooks. Let's see. Padmini Raut in a very good position here. Complicated, but I will just simplify it for you. She's all the pawns are on the board. No pawn has been exchanged. But yeah, pretty soon some pawns are going to be exchanged. Padmini Raut is not going to exchange h into g4 because it is opening up attacks by white and the king is just lying there. So maybe, yes, this side of the board she has started with, and that is a better option considering that. If you take a into b5, I take a into b5. You cannot take c into b5 because this bishop is hitting the knight. So obviously Padmini Raut has some tactics here. Nandida, she is in a good position here. I'll tell you why. If you exchange the knight, the bishop comes here and you start some sort of c4 moves, and then you bring the queen to e6, and there are some threats. You develop the rooks on the e file, and the king, black king, hasn't castled here. So, yes, he would be in trouble here. She would be in trouble here. Sorry for the mistake. Okay, so Adiban has put the bishop on the e6 square, and maybe f6 comes and you push f4. So yeah, he has just cemented the bishop on d6. Now you develop the rooks and you start attacking the king, which is just glued to the c6 square. First of all, you need to develop. Sorry. White has just got his king to G1 square, starting from the E1 square. So two moves instead of castling. That is basic chess. You need to follow the principles of castling development. Surya Ganguly not in a better position here. Clearly, what I had told you happened here. The bishop comes to f5, and if rook wouldn't have moved from b1, it would have been a bishop fork, and you would have lost the rook. And obviously, black would have been material up. Okay, Gan Erdine Sugar. Now you have to move the rook to either b8 or d8, and the outpost is created for white's knight. Let's see the other games. Okay, Vishali was better earlier and she's better now also. Guys, I'm not commenting each move because I want you guys also to have a look in and understand the position here so that you also are able to develop your chess thinking. The idea earlier was to attack the h2 pawn and her opponent defends with g3. Maybe f4 could have come and like displace the queen, and later on just open up this diagonal for the dark squared bishop sitting idle on c1. Bhakti Kulkarni has some issues to sort out here. We need another pawn to displace this bishop, and now it has just solidified itself on b6, and it isn't going to move at all. Yeah, doing the right thing, taking away the king from the diagonal of the bishop. Okay, this is a blunder by Padmini Raut's opponent. She will just pick up the rook here and take the queen on e3 square. And try and just get a hold of the white king. There are some vague ideas here, and let's see what happens in this game. Obviously, Padmini Raut is winning here. Nandita in a better position. Clearly, what I had told you earlier here, and the same thing happened. Now you're just running, and now you dial up the rooks, and maybe check here. You have to move. There are some ideas here also. Let's look at the men's game. Adeban, fondly known as the Beast, has clearly defended well here. You can see these four pawns are not going to make it easier for black to push his pawns here. And all of the game is being played on this side. Maybe some ideas of moving the rook d6 and later on. So we have a result. We have a result in the men's. Surya Ganguly has lost the game. Disappointing show by the captain. Let's see what went wrong here. Okay, 3 points down, and you know, at the grandmaster level, there's no coming back. Okay, obviously, he wants to put the bishop on e6 and fork the queen and the rook. And this is a very basic blunder by Surya Ganguly. Now you cannot even exchange the bishop for the rook, as there's no way the queen is going to g5 or h5. You're losing basically the rook for free. Surya Ganguly resigned here, and that was the best possible thing for Mongolia because Now they are 1 point up in the game. They have a chance of a comeback and a tiebreaker. Let's have a look at Sasikiran's game. Kind of an equal position here. Okay, pretty interesting game here because Sasikiran has two bishops for the queen. Let's see what happened here. Okay, he forked the. He had the queen in his sights, and now the knight is hanging. The knight takes. Pretty interesting choice here. So this is quite interesting. As you see, two bishops for a queen. Oh, he was going down on time. He has to move quickly. He has just 11 seconds remaining on the clock. Yeah, the idea is to put the rook on d1, checkmating the king. But now he's going to chase the game. As to just solidify his position because a queen against two bishops. White is going to bring his king into the fold because both the bishops are protecting the pawns, and it is 1-all in the men's round. Nihal Sarin won the game. So this was like he was pushing the d pawn and something had to be done. And now it's game over. If you take to the rook, which is forced, the king takes, and this pawn is falling, and there's no way for black to come back. So, pretty good result by Nihal there. The beast has to win for India because Sasikiran is not in a good position here. And a result by the women's team, draw by repetition. That is enough. The women's team have secured their way to the semifinals. Even if Vaishali loses, Indian women team are progressing to the semifinals. So that is great. Okay, great result, great result. The Beast has done it for India. He has ensured the route to the semifinals is clear. It's a maiden four. You cannot prevent the bishop from falling, and the Indian men have secured their position in the semifinals. Even if Krishnan Sasikaran loses, the top two boats have secured their way to the semifinals. Yeah. So already it's 2-1 the Indian team, and Krishnan Sasikaran is holding on here. Maybe he would be able to draw because the bishops are not letting go of the pawns and they are not letting the white king to come into the game. So this shall be a draw and it would be 2.5, 1.5 India, and it would be the semi-finals for Team India, both in the women's and the men's draw. So great result here by the men's team, 2.5 to 1.5, and tomorrow would be the semi-finals, and most probably India would be the Indian men team would be paired against Vietnam. Just the last match of the day, Vaishali against Alexandra. It's quite unusual to see the middle game and the time, the clock on the time. They're playing a pretty complex game here. And Alexandra, okay, somehow Alexandra lost in time. The position wasn't updated here, and if you take by the queen and if I just take by the rook, it's game over. There's no back rank mate threat. So congratulations guys, India has won and we are going to the semifinals. The semifinals are going to be played tomorrow and we would be here with our coverage. Thank you for watching and do like and share